Okay guys, so just like to thank you for getting this DVD. Really appreciate the support and putting the trust in, okay? So just going to talk a wee bit here, just introductory stuffs about the DVD and get into a bit of nutrition, okay? So everything's on the board. In case I kind of go through it a bit too quick, you can just kind of pause it and kind of look through it a bit more detail, take any notes, okay? And with everything in the DVD, even if you're watching the workouts, I'd kind of advise maybe to watch everything through first, watch the workouts you're going to do before you actually do them, and kind of take note, even just mental note of what you're going to be doing, so you know exactly what you're doing and your technique and everything's good, okay? So basically, I know there's a lot of people there'll be a lot of people getting the videos, all different ranges, okay? So we're focusing the DVD for the early part of the DVD on beginners. So we want people that are like 5, 10 or more stone overweight, and they're very conscious of it and they're lacking a lot of confidence in terms of going into class or going into gyms and things like that. We want to try and focus on them and help them to kind of get into the right nutrition strategies, the right workouts, so that they can get the right progress going forward, okay, rather than kind of yo-yo and things like that. But in saying that, then we have intermediate advanced workouts. We've like a week class workout. So if you find the beginner stuff too easy, you know, you've already gone through that maybe process and you're already in good nick, whatever, you know, you can go straight in the intermediate, straight in the advanced. There's loads of workouts there, good tough stuff, okay? I also know people will be using this. If they're coming to Dutchies or coming to our class, they'll be using it maybe when they're on holiday or these wee things, just to kind of get an extra work in to keep things ticking over. So I like to think we're hitting everybody a broad range, okay? So there's something in it for everybody, you know, so don't just watch one portion and think, oh, that's not for me or whatever. Okay, so yeah, we're just going to get into the diet, and this is the kind of diet that we put through with all our members, just try and get them to kind of go through it. Anybody that's looking for proper results, you know, we try and get them focused on this. You know, done a right few courses over the years and read a right few books and things like that, and then just from training people, this is what I found worked the best, okay, these kind of principles. There's loads, you all know, you're sick hearing about different diets and nutrition, all this sort of crack. This is what I found worked, and most of all, it kind of works in the real world. It's livable, it's easy to go by, you know, you don't have to stress too much, overthink anything, and that's really what you want, is that things that can work every day when you're living your life, you're looking after your family, you're working your job, you have a social life, all these sort of things come into effect, and you know, you want simple strategies, okay? So as well as that, a big thing behind this kind of nutrition is that we want to focus on health. You know, it's not all about weight loss, where, you know, you lose half a pound, half a stone, and you're skinny, but you know, you're skinny rake, and you're, like, as they say, kind of skinny fat, and your health isn't very good, okay? You know, we don't want that. We want you to have good energy levels, we want you to feel good about yourself, be able to get out and about and basically enjoy life, okay? We also want, you know, longevity. Poor diet, it leads to so many things, even obviously you have like cancer and heart disease and things like that. And, you know, people think that because someone's thin that they don't get these things, but even if you're thin and you're eating crap, you know, you're putting yourself under pressure or risk of all these other things. You've also got day-to-day things like, you know, bloated stomach, gas, irritable bowel syndrome, poor sleep, all these things, lack of energy, all these things come into poor diet, okay? So you really want to think more along the lines of health as well as kind of weight loss, things like that, okay? So, and just before we start, also be sure to contact us on the website or Facebook. So we have them up top. So you have dutchiesfitness.com or facebook.com/dutchiesfitness. So we have a wee private nutrition group for the 7-day, another wee diet thing we did, and also for members. So if you're really serious with the DVD, you don't have to, but if you can, if you want to, you can contact us. We'll set you up in the group. We'll answer, I'll give you a shout. If you give me a shout and email, I'll answer any questions you have along the way, just to make sure that you get, you know, the results that you're looking for, okay? So we really want to actually help people. So basically the top two, I'll just have wee stars here, are your basic 2 points for nutrition, okay? So eat foods with 1 to 3 ingredients or 4 maximum. If it fell from a tree, grew from the ground, swam in the sea, or flew in the air, then you can eat it, okay? So anytime you put nutrition programs together, people always ask you, is this good for me, is that good for me, can I eat this, can I eat that, all that sort of stuff. But really you're looking at, you know, when you look at the ingredients in any foods, you look at the back of that label or carton, whatever it is, it's always loaded with ingredients, a lot of that stuff, whether it's fat-free, sugar-free, low-calorie, whatever, there's 15, 20 ingredients, and you can't pronounce the half of them, okay? So you really want to try and get away from that. And even any documentaries you're watching nowadays on like childhood obesity or obesity in general, it's the processed foods that is absolutely killing everybody, and it's processed foods that has people walking about with you know, overweight and all that sort of stuff. Even, you know, 7 to 14 pounds overweight, even, you know, small amounts, it's processed food that's doing the damage, okay? Depending on what your goals are, you can start analysing it more and getting down, you know, to the nitty gritty if you're looking for like a ripped six pack and all this sort of stuff. But for now, if everybody walking the street followed those two principles, you know, we wouldn't have the problems we have. Another little quote by Jack LaLanne, who's like the first fitness expert 20, 30 years ago. Another quote from him was, if man made it, don't eat it. So even 30, 40 years ago, I think he was kind of on the out and about. You know, he's coming out with quotes like that, and it's so relevant more so nowadays, okay? So yeah, that's just the points in that. So you just want to be focusing on that, and as you seen in the beginner part, we were talking to Rob, who just basically said all he nearly done to lose the 8-9 stone was eliminate sugar, and he just eliminated minerals and processed foods, okay? Again, you know, people might think this is very simplistic, but with the membership here, I make a point to try and get a one-to-one, a sit-down chat with everybody at some stage, you know, as soon as you come in the door, or nowadays kind of let them do a class or two so they get a feel for it, and then have a one-to-one with them. Or we have one-to-ones with members after a couple of months, you know, if they've stalled or things like that. And one thing you realise, you know, it's all this processed food that is continuously doing the damage, and that's why people put on the weight, okay? And even when people think they're doing well, they're eating low fat, low sugar, all this kind of crap. You know, once we change those things, the results start to improve, okay? And, you know, you might think it's very simplistic, but, you know, even things like nuts, people say are high fat. You know, I don't know anyone that's putting on extra weight or is a stone or two overweight from eating too many almond nuts, okay? So you don't want to overcomplicate it or get too hung up on all the little details. And, you know, if you're watching a lot of shows, if you're reading everything on the internet, it can be very confusing, okay? So you just want to stick to simple principles and just keep it nice and simple and just stick to it and commit to it, okay? Right, so next point is breakfast. Okay, another, I'm not promoting skipping breakfast or anything like that, but a big myth is that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And, you know, you have things like, you know, you can't eat late at night and things like that you always hear when you're chatting to members. And these are myths that are out about in the media. And I've read, you know, a lot of books, different types of diet, and there's always one common denominator in all of them, and that is the quality of your food, okay? So it's always about the quality of the food. And even just the other day, a couple of weeks ago, I had a sit down one-to-one with a member, and we were talking about that and the sort of food she was eating and talking about breakfast, all these things. And I just said, just focus on the quality of your foods. And she's lost 13 pounds in 2 weeks. Now, in fairness, she had, you know, she had a right bit of weight on, and she's a long way to go. But, you know, you can overanalyze things, but people say you should only be losing 2 pounds a week, things like that. If someone's eating a lot of calories and a huge volume of crap, you know, you just need to cut that out and replace it with good quality food, and you'll be well on the way in the right direction, okay? So yeah, the thing about breakfast is, you know, I know a lot of people that come in and they say they can't eat breakfast. They have children to get out to school, they have to get the way to work, and they're not really a breakfast person for whatever reason. There's no need to put pressure on yourself to be eating breakfast if you don't want to, okay? You know, you're better off even just forgetting. The problem is, people think I have to eat something, so they eat any crap that's going. They eat muffins, bagels, they're having special cake, Cocoa Pops, all this sort of stuff. You know, you're better off having nothing, toast and all that sort of bread. You're better off having nothing, and then just make sure when you do get to sit down to eat, whether it's 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, make sure you have a good quality feed with good foods, okay? So again, just, I may have forgot, on the website and on the Facebook, we have loads of meal plans and things like that, you know, if you're confused. But you're basically talking about, you know, all your meats, your eggs, you know, all your meats, your chicken, beef, whatever, eggs, all your fishes, tuna, salmon, all that, obviously not breaded or anything, your fruit and your veg and drinking water, okay? Pretty much that's it in a nutshell. So again, we have loads of meal plans, and eating like that is very nice. That same girl that said about the 13 pounds, she couldn't get over it. How come, you know, she can actually eat that way, you know, with just 1 to 3 ingredients and actually enjoy eating. And she's actually eating more, you know, she's eating loads of good foods, like she's full, she's not starving or anything like that, because she's eating good quality food, okay? So that's the most important thing to remember. Yeah, on the breakfast front, I kind of put it as a 3-tiered approach to our members. So it depends where your goals are. Like if you really mean business and you really want to get to a certain weight or a certain goal, I recommend eggs. You should be having eggs, maybe a handful of nuts, or like I said, you could go the fast, okay? The extra fast till 11, 1 o'clock, and then have a real good feed, okay? If you're at a point where you're happy with your weight, you're happy with your fitness levels, you're working out regular, you're pretty happy, you have no real mad targets, Then you can have eggs or mix it up the odd day of porridge. You can have porridge for breakfast, okay? Then if you're having eggs and porridge and you're still very happy with where you are, the odd bowl of Weetabix, things like that, okay? So it's just kind of making a point that everything is relevant to your goals. You know, a lot of guys on the internet, and I follow a lot of these guys, and they'll be dismissing things, you know, like even porridge, Weetabix, oh, blah, blah, shouldn't be eating that. Like, that's okay if you want to be like ripped, six-pack and in great shape and whatever. But the average Joe that we're kind of doing this DVD for doesn't really care about that. They just want to kind of get in half decent shape, not be in any worries over their health, and they want to have a life outside of it, and they want to have a social life, go for a few drinks the weekend, okay? So that's where a lot of the confusion about nutrition can come, because you know, it's all relevant to your goals and what you're aiming for. Okay, so that's kind of our points on breakfast. Then we have just regarding water and things like that. So you just want to focus when you're talking about your minerals and things like that. You know, you want to try and get away from and get into water. You're talking about 1 litre of water per 25 kg body weight. So that's why they all say 2 to 3 litres, because most people are around 75, between 60 and 80 kilos, let's say. So you're talking 2 or 3 litres of water. If you're bigger than more, but you're looking for at least 2 or 3 kilos of water. Protein, you're talking about 1 to 2 grams protein per 1 kilo body weight. Again, there's a lot of talk on that. If a young lad's looking to build muscle, you might up that even up to 4 or 5 grams. You could even go 0.5 grams. They say even as little as 0.5 grams, but somewhere around 1 to 2 grams, just so you kind of have a general idea. The carbs then is 100 to 150 grams of carbs. That's a minimum. Another big mistake people do is they think they have to eliminate carbs altogether and they can't have any carbs. That's another false kind of thing. There's loads of carbs in veg and fruit, so you know you can have that's why you want to load up on your veg and get some fruit in there. You'll still be getting, you know, your carbs. The only thing when people talk about carbs is to get the negative idea, because people always think like pizzas and all this sort of stuff, and they load up and they think, oh, I need me carbs, and you know they get all confused, or, you know, all this sort of stuff. But you don't need that much, especially if you're only working out 2 to 4 times a week, maybe for an hour or so. You know, you'll want a wee bit more than that. Like, that's a minimum, you know, but carbs are very important for brain health and things like that. So you'd be up on that to maybe 250 grams, okay? So, you know, you just want to be aware of that, you know, not to eliminate carbs altogether. But on the flip side, remember that veg and fruit are good sources. So yeah, and people will always get more anyway, so you can have your odd wee bit as you go. You know, you'll have the odd maybe treat here and there. So right, so 80-20, so I have the meal plans on here anyway, but 80-20 rule is basically you're talking about, let's say if you have a real goal, like I was saying earlier, you want to get to a certain weight, a certain level, you're going to go 100%. You know, as one of the sayings is, one of the hardest things in life is getting fit. One of the easiest things in life is staying fit, okay? So for the most part, maintain it as long as you know what you're doing and you're doing the right strategies. Maintain it is pretty easy. It's just getting there can be damn tough, okay, when you don't know what you're doing and it's overwhelming, okay? So that's why you're trying to keep this as simple as possible. So you have 80-20. So once you get to the point where you're happy, you're like, right, I'm at a good weight, I'm happy with this, you know, I can chill out a wee bit. You know, do it right 80% of the time, and, you know, 20%, 10-20%, you'll have the odd wee treat maybe at the weekends and things like that. But you should maintain, if you're doing it right 80% of the time and eating these foods we talked about, you know, you'll not go way overboard. You might put on a pound, 2 here and there, but you'll still be within that range that you're happy and you're in good shape, okay? So that's definitely a good rule to follow. And that's why, again, even the girl I talked about earlier that lost the 13 pounds, one thing we realised in our 1-to-1 is that she done everything at 100%. When she came in first, you know, she lost like another 8 stone or something like that. She lost the time. But what people do is they do everything 100%, they lose a heap of weight, and then they flunk out and they do 100% the opposite way, they do 100% bad. So as I was saying to her, we need to get a bit of a balance here so that you can actually enjoy it and that you stick to it for the most part, but you have your odd bit of chocolate cake or whatever it is you need to just keep your sanity. So now we're trying to get her back to that point, and then she can, you know, we can follow 80-20. So I hope I'm explaining that all right, and you can kind of understand that. Like I said, we meal plans on the site, and as with anything, no matter what fitness program is put together, people always have questions. So I have no problem. If you go to the site, go to the Facebook, I'll answer any of your questions. Okay, so we're going to get into the training side of things. So basically, if you take this out of the equation, so I'm not sure if you can get nutrition there all right, Matt, yeah? So you have nutrition and cardio. So anytime people are struggling, and they want to lose a load of weight, the yo-yo between these two things. Okay, so just do cardio, and you always see it, especially every January. Go to the gym, run on the treadmill for half an hour, bike for half an hour, row for half an hour, and then 100 sit-ups to try and target belly fat. But basically, you don't want to be doing that, even walking the roads, running the roads, you know, all the usual stuff. Everybody's done it. But that's too long, drawn out cardio. You want to make it short and tense, like intervals. So you want to do like 30 seconds hard, 30 seconds easy, 20 seconds hard, 40 seconds easy, whatever way you want to do it. There's loads of different ways. But you want to be, so if someone, let's say in the gym, was they go on a bike, you do your couple of minutes warm up, 30 seconds hard, 30 seconds easy, do about 8 sets of that, and then your cool down, and they're done in 10 minutes, where somebody else is slogging it out for about an hour. That person in the 10 minutes has done far more better work than that person's worked for an hour, okay? So that's the difference. You also have nutrition, yo-yo diets, and kind of, you know, maybe watching what you eat, whatever, but it can be so-so with a lot of people. People go between these two, but they always forget this, resistance training, okay? So that's the big daddy of it. That's really what people want to be doing. Women don't do this because they think they're going to put on big muscles and look like Arnie Schwarzenegger. That's not going to happen, okay? And fellas generally doing it wrong, okay? So basically resistance training. So there's a lot, especially now on Facebook, it's very easy to kind of grow your business and things like that. And there's a lot of talk about everything on Facebook. But if you see any good fitness programs that are getting people really good results, they're doing some form of resistance training. So I don't care what it is, you know, we can talk about the popular programs like maybe P90X, Insanity, on the internet, you have different things, Torben training, you have a million different things, but they're all doing some form of resistance training, okay? And you see different, there's good facilities maybe in Galway and Dublin there around the country, and they're all basically doing resistance training with interval cardio, so even a wee bit of skipping, like we done there, you'll see mountain climbers, things like that, or like I said, if it is like a gym setting, you do 30 seconds hard, 30 seconds easy, okay? So that's your kind of cardio, your balance with that. But resistance training is your main thing, okay? Even if it's body weight, like this DVD is body weight resistance training, you can do loads with body weight, and then as you progress, if you can go with dumbbells, kettlebells, all these things, okay? But body weight, there's loads you can do with body weight. So as I do say, training wise, you want to cover these two, and then diet wise, nutrition, you just take care of that with them. And we generally tell people if you do that, you notice difference in 3 or 4 weeks, okay? And they always do, okay? So, and then you progress it from there. I was going to say something else there. I forget, just at the minute. Yeah, I think with the resistance training and the cardio, when you combine that, you know, it's actually been scientifically proven to burn calories like 24, 32 hours after your workout. So again, the important thing, you know, you hear people saying, oh, I just done such and such a workout, I'm after burning 300 calories. You know, where they come up with 300 calories, I don't know. And I bet you they don't know either, it's just a little number they've made up. The most important thing is the calories you burn after your workout. So if you do a good intense workout at 30, 45 minutes, you know, basically your muscles are depleted, they're broken down, your body's thinking, geez, what happened there? And it has to start now trying to repair that muscle, and it's going to be burning calories the whole time, okay? So that's why even with just 3 hours or 3 workouts a week, you know, there's people when they're doing it right getting far better results than people that are working out 5, 6, 7 days a week, okay? So that's why some people are going to the gym and they're doing a lot of this stuff and they're not getting the results that they feel they should be getting. Okay, so then we're on this no sit-ups, okay? So this is always a topic of debate in the facility here. So people are always asking for more sit-ups, but there's no real need to focus on sit-ups until you have about 20%, even less than that, but a minimum 20% or lower body fat percentage and or visible abs. So if you have slightly visible abs, you might start to do crunches, sit-ups, to try and get them to pop, you know, to get them to look better, things like that. But until that point, there's no real need to be doing a whole pile of them, okay? People always love to do them, but there's no real need for it. So you'll only get to that point, 20% of visible abs, by doing these here and following that there, okay? So by following our little triangle, that's the only way you're going to get there over a period of time, and then you can start doing the sit-ups and crunches. Also, your general sit-ups and crunches that you see are generally done wrong. There's certain exercises, you know, like jackknives, McGill crunch, hanging leg raises if you're really kind of advanced. They're kind of things you want to be doing. The general sit-ups, crunches, people generally put their hands in the back of the head and pull on their neck. They come up way too far, putting pressure on the lower back, and they generally do things with the legs that ends up just putting pressure on the hip flexors. That's why, you know, certain exercises you just feel it more nearly on your hip flexors than you do on the abs, okay? So any weak crunch you are doing, you want to focus on the abdominals to actually make sure they're the ones that are doing the work. So there's just a few wee things, wee notes at the end of this that I just wanted to kind of make sure. So you have here just to improve a little bit every day as best you can, okay? So there will be the DVD, you'll find different wee problems with it. You know, there's no workouts, the perfect workout for everybody, you know, so I'm not going to try and pretend that this one is, but just do it as best you can. And, you know, if you find that you've done beginner 1, or let's say you've done the beginner workouts and it's time to move on to intermediate, but you don't think you're fit for the intermediate, then just do the beginners for another week or 2 and then progress from there. You'll find you'll do good, you'll improve as the weeks go, especially if you're following the diet, okay? So don't worry too much about it. And as I constantly say throughout the videos, you know, people are always too hard on themselves and they're just like, oh my God, I'm so unfit, I can't do this, I can't do that. And then they just quit. You know, everyone, you'll see the circuit workout, most of the people in that probably started where you are now, very overweight, couldn't do press-ups to save their life, couldn't do squats, all these things. But we've got them working at them and they've progressed and they've put in the work and they've progressed as they've went, fly here, they've progressed as they went and they've got to now where they are today, okay? So it's very important you just be patient with it and stick at it. Yeah, so just get a wee bit better every day. And remember, no matter what workout you do, so we'll try and see it there in most videos in case we forget, do the warm-up before it, we have the warm-up section, and do the cool-down section after, okay? So that's very important. And yes, that's basically everything there. So like I said, if you have any questions, so everybody always has a few questions, so we'll probably left 1 or 2 things out. So dutchiesfitness.com or facebook.com dutchiesfitness, we've meal plans and all on the site, and if you have any questions, give us a shout, okay? So I think that's everything covered in this section, so thanks for watching.